Like it or not, Arsenal are not making a move for Eze until they complete some outgoings. At least that's what we're being told, people. Now, for me, I've been preaching this. Obviously, we're under no PSR constraints, allegedly. I'm not sitting here and saying I'm an accountant in that, but that's what you see in the articles. We do have the capacity. But for one reason or another, rightly or wrongly, clearly we want to clear ranks, people. Let me know your thoughts in relation to how outgoings plays a part in any additional moves in the transfer market. I do have another thing to ask you lot, people. Do you lot remember on the 6th of February, many months ago, granted, Sammy Mokbel said there was a burgeoning sense at Arsenal that they are gearing up for an unprecedented summer. Now, the summer's not done, granted, Carnival's not here yet, but I do want to ask you lot, so far, what's been unprecedented, if anything's been unprecedented in you lot's mind? So yeah, smash the like button and let me know. We did see we did see Gunner blog say if Arsenal are to make another edition, it is likely to be in the attacking part of the pitch, which we all would want. Clearly, Arsenal have been studying candidates to improve their left wing options, but ideally the club would like to make some sales before prioritizing another arrival. The Athletic is somewhat of a mouthpiece for Arsenal. It says it there. Whether you like it, I like it. Want Eze, frustrations of Rodrygo links around City and Eze to Spurs. And you can see how Arsenal fans, whether they're on social media, YouTube, or in their houses, would crash out people, especially because we've been linked with both of those players. So to be honest, we ain't learned nothing new there, people. That's what we know. Now, I don't know if this is true or not, but it leaves food for thought. And once again, I would like you to smash the like button and let me know your thoughts on this. Arsenal reportedly can't afford to bid for Eze until they make sales. 224 million euros. I can't lie. A lot of articles do the euros thing because obviously, the exchange rate and that it looks a bit more dramatic. So far, with just 8 million euros incoming from sales. Now, let's be honest, Cronkies won't like that. Clearly, we've been poor at sales in recent years. Granted, last season, on the face of it, Fulham, I think, was Smith Rowe. Well, Smith Rowe was Fulham's record signing. At the time, you did make a profit on Mika Berev, but whether it's not selling players when they're at their right moment, not getting more money on younger players, we are selling ourselves short. Feel like Eze should have been a priority over the 56 million euros spent on Madueke due to Eze's higher quality. What do you lot think? Because I must admit, it does follow the Kai Havertz summer in that regards. In that, you sign Kai Havertz, no problems. We did start hearing around Kudus, it's kind of sit on your hands. We've got to sell, and many fans, rightly so, would say you found money for Madueke, and you didn't say any of this stuff around Madueke. Why are we saying this for Eze? And again, not to pile on Madueke, we give him a chance, and every player deserves to be fairly critiqued and praised. But it's the backdrop, it's the sentiment, it's the temperature for us Arsenal fans on the ground. In that, even if you're going to back Madueke all the way as we should, there's going to be there's going to be added pressure on top of the obvious and why he's made this move and Arsenal buying from Chelsea and all of that. There's going to be more pressure because if you're going to be the left winger, despite Mikel Arteta saying he can play left and right, we knew that already. It's a long season, 38 games in the league, 50 plus if you're as a minimum, if you're factoring in the Champions League, League Cup and FA Cup. So we hear that. But now I can't speak for people that, are mad excited and whatnot. But for me, I'm going to say, all right, cool. You're telling me for someone that's on 15 million a year, it's been here for 6 years, that's had some highs, some lows, genuinely a good manager that needs to prove he's a winning manager, a temperature of needing to get over the line. You've got your way for B, 15 mil a year. And I don't mean this to do rage bait or get excited or anything, but like you clearly, statistically, and what you've done in the game, you know football more than me. So I'm gonna get behind it. But there will be questions in May. Now, we hope we can get, if not Eze, because again, I say this in all my vids, this tells me that we want a multifunctional, versatile attacking player. In the same vein, we've been linked with Rodrygo. How strong or weak those rumors are, I don't know. But that tells me you still want to act in the left wing market. It's one thing talking specifically about Eze and Rodrygo. Find the skill set. Because I think it's realistic to expect one in an ideal world, dream world. I love a lot more than two attacking additions, but I do think there's scope for two attackers, especially if we're in get over the line mode. And simply put, we need people to score and do all those things, people. Feelings, emotions, potential doesn't necessarily win league titles. Now, we've been talking about exits, people. And again, people at the start of the window before we signed, people said, oh, Berta, nothing's changed. What's going on? Berta's the guy now. And I'm still on this personally for what it's worth. In Berta, we trust. Now, you're seeing what other teams are doing. We was quite vexed about our football club, to be honest, until the Bilbao game in pre-season. we're kind of getting back into, not back into that element, but back into that element. Let me know how you're feeling about this season, people, as well. Arsenal are open to approaches for Martinelli this summer. There is conflicting stuff in relation to Martinelli, but because of where he's been at the moment, have to be open to offers. Zinchenko is available to leave Arsenal before the deadline, although the player is giving consideration to seeing out the final year of his contract and moving on a free transfer in 2026. Arsenal naturally would prefer a sale this window. Again, nothing we didn't really know. I don't want to get dark about this and things, but people will say it's a bit cozy at our football club. You know, some fans and in my group chat are saying, put me in the under 18s, put me in the under 21s. Let me know your thoughts on that. Again, with Zinchenko, I say it all the time. People with their club cap on will see that, oh, he's getting money. We need to move him on, want to win the league in that part. No one put a gun to Arsenal's head to give this man a contract. Whatever you say about football, he's been given a like an employment contract. He deserves to get his money, and he's got to think about stuff. You know, he might think, owing to how our season played out last year and the major theme being injuries, I might be able to hang around. You know, because Lewis Skelly can't play 50 plus games. Calafiori picks up injuries, which we hope is not the case. I might get games there. Who knows? The manager might, in under the realm of we want to evolve and do different things. I might play in midfield. I've got a family. I'm on wages that I'm not going to get elsewhere. Maybe there's been no offers to date. Maybe I'm on joining the clubs that have potentially made offers, but the way their managers are speaking to me about tactics or whatever, I'm not really keen on it. When you remove your fan cap, there's nothing wrong with him running down his contract. Now, again, putting that same fan cap on, and whether I think we need to sell to buy and all of that, clearly that's the landscape. You move on someone on 100 grand a week, things can move forward. But that's that where Zinchenko's concerned. Kiwior's linked with moves away. Apparently, he's open to leaving. Arsenal in no rush to selling people, and no clubs have made, an offer that matches the asking price. So it's one thing talking about these players. It's another thing actually moving them on, in which what's left of August till September the 1st deadline, I still want incomings. Well, eight incoming, and by God's grace, incomings. But we need to get people gone. Respectable bids for Trossard would likely be considered. Now, what we've read so far, people, and let me know, maybe I'm tweaking, but just what I've seen there about, well, let me add on, is saying contract discussions have stalled with Arsenal and Trossard. But what we've read there so far with Trossard, with Martinelli, and with Kiwior in particular, put your feelings to the side, whatever you feel about these players, that's nothing new. In that this is the temperature around these kind of individuals and whether they're going to leave or not. Reece Nelson would prefer a one-season loan as opposed to a permanent move. Now, also, you have heard that Fulham would like that. Why Nelson wants that, I don't know. Does he just want to stay in London for a year? Because he is primarily linked with Fulham and occasionally linked with Crystal Palace. And loan, is he still hoping he can crack on at Arsenal? Let me know your thoughts. Love Reece, but I think it's best you go permanent. I'm sure the club would say that. I'm sure many fans would say that. Now, there is an alternative universe where he goes on loan in the Premier League. He has a blisteringly good season. I don't know. He's just made to excel at Bournemouth. He excels. He either comes back and plays for Arsenal, which at 25 we're probably removed from that, but that happens. Or what could be the best second case scenario in that he plays so that we can get more money and he looks like a fairly established player. You know, he'd have to play to the potential. I'm not saying to call him up for England. You can still play for Jamaica if you want. My guy, we need plays. You want him to play to the sports where, oh my God, is he a wild card going to the World Cup and all that? That's the kind of level you need him to play at to even consider coming back at Arsenal, which I wouldn't say the door can never be closed in life. He's contracted to the club. But come on, we're past this now. Like, respectfully to Nelson, because I like him. Stuttgart are still continuing discussions with Fabio Vieira, people. And we did see Spurs want both Salvinho and Eze. Let me know your thoughts if you think I am or Arsenal fans are overreacting to needing Eze, whether that's tactically or the player's ability. But would you take Eze? Would you take Silvinho? Like, not that we can. I just want to know your lot's thoughts. Spurs ready to beat Arsenal and sign Eze after opportunity emerges, which obviously with Maddison's injury, that rises the temperature to obviously get players of that ilk. What in terms of being able to play as a 10. So at this point, we'll skip through a bit. Spurs have ramped up their interest, people. It has come out that Eze's release clause apparently is still there. We'll have to see. As it says here, amid a widespread disbelief that the saga might finally come to a head by the start of the Premier League season, that would coincide with the expiration of Eze's release clause for this window. Arsenal have long been linked interested apologies in Eze and are viewed as the Crystal Palace's player's first preference. But the fact that no proper transfer bid has yet materialized means there's a chance for Spurs to move forward. So is it talks or has an official bid been made? And, time is ticking. We'll have to see. Eze is open to the idea, despite Spurs not pressing on interest in the earlier summer period. An opportunity has arisen because Arsenal have prioritized other positions first and have spent much of the summer figuring out how to do all that business and then bring Eze or other player in. The view from numerous sources is that Arsenal's preference is to sell first rather than just take the risk of making such a signing, then being under pressure to sell before the end of the window. Are we under pressure? Regardless of that, could you have signed Eze? And then if you want to go on the Madueke, that kind of talking point could have been the case. I don't know. Arsenal's stance is also tempered by the idea of bringing in a left winger, since that's one area where they don't have substantial depth. The club may yet feel they should prioritize that over Eze. There's been no official approach to Palace, but clubs have naturally broached potential payment plans. Eze's release clause, understood to be around 68 million, expires on the 15th of August. So there's 3 days if Arsenal change their mind in that they just want to pay that, but only for this window. It is not yet seen as an obstacle to any deal, given that Arsenal have been informally speaking with Palace about alternative structures. So there's been some level of signing, but how much do you want Eze? With what we're hearing, Nwaneri getting a new deal and being able to play in the 10's a major factor, with Odegaard being the captain, with us probably not expecting to see Zubamendi or Rice dropped either in the fully 11 and you've got 1 6 and 2 rotating 8s in which Eze could be one, or you probably expect to see that on a consistent basis in game with Mikel Arteta. So how much do they like him? Is it a thing where the players we've got in, they were the ones, and Eze's a good player, we like him, he could add something, but if we get some sales and all the dominoes fall in a row, then we can move for him. But that just tells us we've been informally speaking with Palace about alternative structures around his release clause. Clearly, we've spoken to Eze's agent and informally aware, I would say, of personal terms. Arsenal are open to approaches for Martinelli, Trossard, Kiwior, Zinchenko, Nelson. A move for Nelson to Fulham has been discussed, but the player prefers a one-season loan. Much may depend on whether Eze is clear on his destination and willing to wait, which is what you're hanging on for. Arteta apparently is understood to have identified Eze as a player capable of giving Arsenal an extra edge against deep blocks. We're going to need tactics, but fair play. Sammy Moltbar said Eze is emerging as a player of serious interest to Spurs. Arsenal have an interest in Eze, but the club are currently looking to move players on. It remains to be seen whether Tottenham's interest in Eze results in Arsenal accelerating a move, people. Mikel Arteta has been appointed the director of performance at Under Armour. I mean, no one don't want to hear about that at this moment, but what the gaffer did say is, let's see what happens in terms of where the squad is in the next few weeks. We are actively looking at options as well. There are a few players maybe that have to leave, so we'll be open to see what happens. So that kind of ties in and tees in and ties up pretty well with kind of the theme of what we've been looking at, people. I could be wrong. Let me know your thoughts. Do you not agree with Gary Lineker here when asked if Arsenal could win the league? A lot too will depend on how Gyökeres does. I mean, he scored a terrific goal in pre-season, but we all know pre-season is not that important. I mean, I disagree with the pre-season is not that important, not necessarily in drawing conclusions that Gyökeres bagged against Bilbao. It's cool. He should have had a hat-trick. It's extra cool because it's going to put them in the back of the net plenty of times for us this season. Although it is for a striker in terms of that feeling of hitting the back of the net. So I think a lot will depend on him, but we know he'll get good service. I think they could go close again. It'd be interesting to see what happens, man.
Like